Okay, hello GD153 class. What I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to walk through the drawing program assignment, just sort of stumble through it and show you how I would go about setting the whole thing up. So I'm going to start from scratch. So we're going to want to make a program where the user can draw something to the canvas and then change the state to something else. So change the color, or changing the drawing method, or changing it to from a line to a circle, or whatever you want. I'm going to start by first I need to turn off the background because we don't want it to refresh every time. Let's do that. Put it up here so we get a white background. So let's make the simplest version we can first. Function mouse dragged. And this is because we want the user to have to press the button and drag. We don't want it to just draw all over the place whenever they move. And then let's say we're going to have them draw a circle to the screen. Wherever the mouse is. Okay. Why didn't that work? Oh, didn't spell dragged right. Okay. Okay. Let me feel smaller. Okay. Good. Good start. Good start. Okay. All right. First thing I'm going to do before I go and create any buttons for this, and that's my plan here, I want to make sure it works with just a key pressed so that we can cycle through states before I attempt to do buttons. So what I want this to do is I'm going to have it change colors. I want it to have a red state, a green state, and a blue state. So I'm going to define those. First, I'm going to define those up here. And I'm going to call it draw red because I know that red is a reserved, no, not that, that's just a variable. Bar draw, it's a reserved keyword. Green, bar, draw, blue. Okay. I can't, I can declare them up here, but I can't initialize them because I'm going to use that special color function that'll create a fancy variable that can hold all the color information that P5 lets you do. So I'm going to declare them down here, initiate them down here. Color 2500. Draw green. Blue. Okay. Draw red, draw green, draw blue. Great. So down here, I'm going to do this on a key press or key typed, or was it key typed or key pressed? Try one and we'll try the other. Key typed. Oh, function key typed. I believe that's it. And then I'm going to do them on the 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to say if key equals 1. Remember, the triple equals, the double equals you can use interchangeably. Now, what do I want to do here? I could say fill. I could say fill is draw red or draw green or draw blue. But there's a better way to do it because you might be changing way more than just the fill. You might be changing size, stroke weight, or something like that. Here's where I want to illustrate the idea of changing states, these kind of being like switches between different states. I want to store all the variables for state 1. I want to have a variable called state to keep track of what state I'm in. California. Ha 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 ha. State. Okay, I'm going to start with state. We're going to start with state number 1. And all that means is whenever we're in state 1, think of it as like level 1, level 2 on a video game. When we're in state 1, we're drawing red. When we're in state 2, we'll draw green. 3, blue. So if key pressed is, if I press the key number 1, we're going to change, it's going to be 1. Else if, oops, forgot something. Key equals 2, state equals 2, else if key equals 3, state equals 3. I'm going to add one more in here because I want it to clear the canvas, clear all the drawing if I press the space bar. So I'm going to add one more here. Else if key equals, oops, messed up here, equals space. Just clear the background. Okay. I'm going to run this just to make sure there are no errors, and it's already telling me there's something going on. Let me just press this and see what happens. Syntax editor, this goes there. What am I missing? Key typed. Unexpected identifier. Key typed. Key pressed. Is that it? No. This goes there. Function. There we go. Okay. So it's drawing to the board. But I don't know if these states are working. I'm going to do something here. I don't know if I've showed you in class yet, but this console down here can be a really handy way to track your variables to see if something's working. And I do this all the time. Before I go to the trouble of actually making visual changes to the screen, I'm just going to make sure they work. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say console.log, and then whatever I put inside these parentheses will, when this line of code runs, it will spit it out in this console area down here. This is something that the user would never see. It's just there for you to test things. So I'm going to say if this code right here, if this code here fires, then it will spit out the number 1. I'm putting it in a string because I want it to just be a character 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing here and here. So it'll spit out number 2. We hit 2. Number 3. We hit 3. I'm going to space these out so we can see them better. Okay, so now I'm going to run it and draw. Okay, it's drawing. Okay, now I'm going to hit the number 1. Yay! So see that? 1 happened, 2 happened, 3 happened. I'm pressing the keys. Nothing happened on the screen, but at least I know they work, because if I went to the trouble of designing the whole thing and then I try to run it, any number of things could have gone wrong. But this is so simple right now that because I just checked it in the console, I can be pretty confident that it's going to work okay. So I'm going to get rid of these. Okay. All right. Now it's tempting to put the fill stroke in here, or the fill blue, fill red, fill green. But I like to keep the logic of the program and the actual drawing of the program separate. That's what I'm gonna actually put up in here in the draw, because that's where the drawing happens. Maggie. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have it check every time to draw to see what state it's in before it draws the ellipse. So I'm going to say if state equals 1, fill, draw red. Else if state equals, equals 2, fill, draw green. Else if state equals 3, fill, draw blue. Okay, something's missing here. I'm missing a bracket. Still, and I got an extra one here. No, I'm missing something else. There it is. And that, and it's still acting funky. This needs one there. Nope. This is wrong. Else if fill. An extra one there. Okay. See if this works. Red. Awesome. I'm going to press number 2. Green. Blue with number 3. Hurrah. Alright, so I've separated the logic here, key pressed, and I'm giving it all the drawing instructions up here. You don't have to do it this way. You could put all your drawing instructions down here and it would work just fine. It's just your preference. Okay, I'm going to also add a no fill up here. I don't want to do that. I mean no stroke. So I don't get that black line. Okay, there we go. I'm going to make the background black just because I want to. There we go. Okay, so now let's make those buttons. So we'll take the logic that's here and we'll put it on a key, a mouse pressed instead of a key pressed. Now, since it's going to be on a key pressed, we'll need to change this if statement right here. And what do we want to check for? We're putting this on the mouse press. So it's only going to run if the mouse is pressed. So we're going to I'm going to have 3 circles up here. And what we want to happen is it's going to check and see if it's on top of the red circle, or if the mouse is on top of the green one, or is it on top of the blue one. Let's make those circles first. And I am going to make variables for all of them. So bear with me. Bar red button equals red button X equals 40 bar red button Y equals 40 bar red button, and it's a circle, so I'm just going to give it a radius, or I could give it a diameter. Let's do diameter. That's basically the width, right? Diameter is across the circle, so it's basically just the width. What did I have it at? 20? I'll make it a little bit bigger so it's more clickable. Really, it should be 40, especially if this is going to be on a phone. 40 by 40 being the rule of thumb for the smallest area that a finger can comfortably tap. Okay, and then I want to do the same thing for, is that all I need? Okay, same thing for green and blue. So green, blue, and I don't want them to be at 40. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to do something up here. They're all the same width, so I'm just going to say bar button diameter, and then equals 40. So I don't have to, they're all the same. I'm going to change the X and the Y. Actually, I'm going to make a variable called bar button bar X, Y, so they're all going to be on the same line. So that way all I have to do is determine the X so that they're spaced apart. And that's less code. So button D is the diameter of all the buttons, the width of all the buttons. Bar Y, since they're all going to be in a line, they're all going to be on the same Y. So I can say, you know, that's going to be, oh wait, then the diameter be, oh no, I said 40. This is going to have to be more, otherwise they'll stick to the top. And then here we'll say 50, I don't know, 190, I'll say 150 and 200. And then, okay, we've created them. I'm just going to run it and test it. Okay, no errors. So now I can go down here and I'm just going to draw them here. I'm going to put them above where it checks the state. What I want? I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll put them down here and see if that causes a problem. Ellipse, button, red button, oh no, button, yeah, red button X, and then the button Y, button bar Y. And then button diameter, button diameter. And then green, blue. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, I've got 3 of them. Whoa, that's not great. 50, 100, 150. Okay, that's better. They're all red because I started because it's state 1, and down here it says if it's state 1, we start at state 1, and down here it says if it's state 1, draw red. So I'm just going to, right above each one, I'm going to give it its color. Fill, draw red. Fill, draw green. Fill, draw blue. Okay, let's check that. Yeah, all right. Okay, so I have my buttons, but they don't necessarily work quite yet. Ooh, and the last one is draw blue. Ah, so I do want this to be above. So it's already gone through the state. Oh, why is it draw blue? Let's try that again. Aha, yeah, it's already gone through the changing states before this. So it's always going to be blue because I called draw blue right there. Let's see what happens if I change this up here. That's why I was wondering, where should I put it? Should I put it before we change the color for the state or before? And let's try that. And it's drawing red, hit number 2, green, blue. Okay, so there was the order, the logic of the order. So I need to draw them first before I let the program figure out what color it should be drawing. So yeah, that was important, and we did that. Okay, we're ready to make those clickable. All right, so you know how to make a rectangle clickable, right? You gotta check for the left, you gotta check for the right, check for the top, check for the bottom. You've got that if statement, that long if statement. I'm gonna show you it's so much easier actually for a circle. Just a little bit of math. So I'm gonna put down here, actually I'm gonna put up here. First, we want this to happen on a mouse pressed, right? Mouse pressed. We want it to happen just once. Okay. So we won't. We're actually going to want. Well, let me just write it out first. So we want to see if the mouse is on. Before anything happens, we want to see if the mouse is on top of the red, green, or blue. So it's the same thing as checking down here. Was the key pressed? Was it 1, 2, or 3? So there's a nice function called dist, D-I-S-T, and what that does is it gives you the distance between any 2 points. So you give it the first point and the second point, and it calculates the distance. So we're going to do this. Var D equals, and here's where I'm going to check what is the distance between where the mouse clicked, and what the X and Y of the circle, the button of the circle, and I'll show you why in a second. We'll check for the red one. Red, button, X, and then they're all the same Y. So button, bar, Y. Okay, it's going to give me the distance. So let's send that to the console right now. Console.log. Okay, and I'm going to have it print out D. You can send it just a variable so that you can see what numbers you're actually getting out of that variable. It's really helpful. So remember, this isn't going to fire until I actually click. So watch the console down here. I'm going to click far away. Okay, it's about 130, 435 pixels away from the circle. Click up here, much closer. Up here, much closer. I'm going to click inside of it. We got 7.2. So here's the great thing. We know we have the diameter of the circle, so we know what the radius is. So if half of the radius, the diameter, half of the radius would be half of the diameter would be the radius. Basically the distance from the middle to the edge. What would that be? It's 40, right? So it would be 20 would be the radius. So if we check to see if the distance between the mouse clicked and the center, if it's less than 20, we know that the mouse, see right there, I just clicked inside of it, it's less than 20. Clicked outside, look down at the console, 66. Click inside, less than 20. So if we check to see if that distance is less than 20, then we know that we just clicked on the circle. So we'll say if D is less than the button width, or know what I call it, button D, button diameter, divided by 2, so we can get the radius. Then draw red. Fill draw red. Then fill draw red. Okay, I'm just gonna test this one first. Make sure I don't have any errors. So it's gonna draw red by default. I'll turn it to blue by hitting number 2. Now it's blue. So now I should, if I click on this red one, it should change back to red. It did not. What did I do wrong here? Bar distance in red button, bar button Y. If diameter is less than the button diameter divided by 2, fill draw red. Huh. Let me comment all this out to see if that's conflicting. Okay, drawing, hit number 2, drawing, hit number 2, not drawing green now. Oh, because I turned this off. I'm going to go ahead and just write the rest of these. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, to get rid of, I'm just going to take this and put it right inside here instead of D. So I'm not even going to declare D so that I don't have to do it every single time. So if the distance between the mouse X, because we know this works, it's less than that, now let's try it. Try red, number 2. Oh, I was going to turn this back. No, I'm not going to. 2, red. Okay, so now we can do an else if. Else if, I'm going to take all of this, and then change it to green. Green. Okay, and then fill, draw, green. And then I'm going to repeat this. That. Blue, blue, button X, draw, blue, okay, okay, green. Okay, so it's drawing red every time. What if I change this state to 2? Will it start out as green? Yeah, it starts out as green. So, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. I was supposed to separate this stuff. Instead of state one, instead of draw, we're going to say state equals. Aha! Hopefully. State equals 1. Because we're replacing the key pressed, and that's what was changing the state. So it's not reaching da da da. Okay. Equals 2. State equals 3. Let's try that. Started with green still. Red. Clickable. Oh. Blue's not working. Oh, state equals 3. Red. Oh, let's go back up, and I'm confusing myself. I'll start it at number 2. Red. Click green. Click blue. I did it. Now I'm going to put that space bar thing back in there. Just check for the space bar so that I can clear it. Okay, red, green, blue, space bar. Okay, we did it. I hope I didn't go too fast, but you can always rewind. What's happening here? Here are all our variables. These are for our buttons. This is for our colors. We started at state 1. We go down here. We gotta initiate our variables here. And then first thing it's going to do is it's going to draw each circle up there, draw our buttons. Then it's going to check and see what state we're in, and it's going to set the fill to whatever state we want it to be. If it's state 1, it's red, state 2, it's green, state 3, it's blue. So you can separate all your drawing code here. And then we need the mouse drag so that it will actually draw. This is what draws the button to the screen. Actually, we could put all this down inside of mouse dragged. That would work too, instead of in the draw loop. That'd be fine. And then mouse pressed is where the logic happens, where it actually gets set. So first it checks to see if the mouse is actually on top of it when it's pressed. And if it's on top of the red one, it changes it to 1. If it's on top of the green one, to 2, and blue to 3. And then lastly, I have one more thing here that clears the background. So there you go. There's the basics, and you can take something like this, and what you would do is if you had more than one state, you would just add another button, another state. And then here is where you get to have all your fun, where you change whatever you're going to change about it. That's it. Okay, let me know if you have questions. Out.